In layout, the scene editor gives a big picture and overall view of our scene. We can also get a big picture or an overall view of our surfaces. If we come over to the scene editor, and instead of working with the item list view or the items tab, we can come over to the surface list view or the surface tab. Okay, and it'll give a list of all of our surfaces in the scene. Okay, we can view by object, so I've got two objects in the scene, and I can see all the surfaces for the helicopter, or I can see all the surfaces for the UFO. Okay, and I can also just view by surface. Okay, so it lists each surface and then what objects are associated with those surfaces. So if I come down to the glass surface, there's a glass surface on the helicopter and there's a glass surface on the UFO, and I can see both of those by surface name. I can also select several surfaces and hide the rest of the surfaces. So if you're used to working in the item list view, you'll be familiar with some of the options that you have here. Okay, now where this really comes into play is if we come over to the property tab and we change what properties we're viewing. So right now, by default, we're viewing the basic properties of bones. Well, that's not going to do us much good here in the surface tab. So I'm going to switch this to, we have surface basic, advanced, and environment. I'm going to choose basic. So now I'm getting a look at all of the different surfaces all at one time. I can see all of the values. So I'm going to switch back. Okay, and now I'm really seeing, I don't even have to scroll in this case because there's only so many surfaces in the scene. I can see all the properties. If I scroll over, I can see that I have more options, and I can even add, if I want to, I can add advanced, and now I can scroll over and see the Surface Advanced options, which would be in the Advanced tab. I can add the environment, and I can keep scrolling. Okay, so I work on a dual monitor setup, so what I could do is stretch this across the bottom of both monitors, and I could keep adding if I wish, but those are the three settings there. Now you can always change what you want viewed in this column, so I can come down to surface and I can choose any of these, so I don't have to use the defaults. The defaults are basic, advanced, and environment. I could build my own custom one, and say I never use some of these options. Well, I can just swap out some of the columns with items that I do use. Okay, but we'll go ahead and use the default setting right here. Okay, and I've added all three basic setups so that if we needed to, we could scrub all the way over. Okay, so what I can do is decide that I want to change, say, the color of the dome cap. Well, all I have to do is, well, I could scrub on these if I wish, just like I can in the surface editor. So just left click and drag. If I right click, it changes to hue, saturation, and value. Right click and I'm back to RGB. I can click on the actual color swatch and pick a color in here. I'll pick this green color. Okay, and now I've changed it. But if I want to change the colors of everything or multiple surfaces, I'll just click on this this small column to the left, and I'm going to hold down shift and I'm going to select all 11 surfaces right here. If I bring down my adjust properties, I can pick a color, and I'm going to pick this blue color. Okay, and apply, and now I've applied it to all of those surfaces. So it makes it easy to work with multiple surfaces and see the settings all at once. So if I want to change the luminosity values for all the surfaces on the UFO, I'll just come over here and set it to 0. I don't want any luminosity. Apply, and now I've got 0 on everything. I can also set up an envelope. If I click the E for, say, this bottom flat, if I hit E, I open up the graph editor, and I can start working with the different channels like RGB for, because I clicked E for that. And if you notice over here in the channels column, now I have the ability, because I've activated that option, I have the ability to set up something here. So I'll go ahead and right click, and I'll edit in the graph editor, and I'm just going to set a few keys. Okay, now I have a setup with multiple RGB values for, well, multiple values for the R channel. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and collapse that, and we can see that we've got the E there. If I want to get rid of that, I'll just hold down Shift and left click, just as normal. I can go to the texture editor just by clicking on the T. If I want to remove that texture, I'll just hold down Shift and click the T. Okay. Say I want to turn double-sided on for everything. I'll just, and this is across multiple objects, so all the surfaces in the scene, I'm going to check and apply. Well, I've decided that I don't want them to be double-sided, so I'm going to uncheck and apply. Okay. So this is a really quick way of getting an overview of all of the surfaces in the scene and their properties, and you can actually edit your surfaces right here in the scene editor. If you are looking for a particular surface, you can come up to Find, Rotors. Here we go. There's rotors and tail rotors. Okay, so it was really easy to find just doing a quick little search. Okay, you don't have to hit enter after you type in the search. If I start typing and I go for a capital D, and then I'm going to go for E, F. Oh, that's it. I didn't even have to finish. There's default. Okay, I was able to find it. You'll also notice in the list view that the color, the RGB value, will be displayed around the little S to show that that's a surface, and then you can get an idea if you go, well, where are all those blue things? And you were scrubbed over here and you couldn't see the RGB swatches there, you could always just spot them right here. Okay, makes it really easy to spot based off the color. If we go back to by surface and we go to glass, we've got the two objects here, and they both share the same surface name, but we can change each one of these independent, or we can say, you know what, I want all glass in the scene to be red, and we can adjust there. We can also filter, we can use filters just like in the item list view or the items tab, and we can come over here and say anything that contains a G, and we can give a name. We can enable surface filtering, and so anything that has a G in it, we can work with there. If we want it to be anything with GL, let's do glass. Okay, and now we've got our glass surface and the two items there. Okay, so I'm just going to turn that off. So we can filter, we can search, we can we can expand the individual channels if we have an envelope. We can list view, we've got hide, so that if we want to just work with a particular list of surfaces, we'll select the surfaces and it'll hide the ones that aren't selected. And we can view by surface or by object, and we can always collapse these with the little arrows here. And we can we can change individual settings. If we want to change the diffuse on this, I can left click and drag, and it'll allow me to update it just by holding down the left mouse button and clicking. And as always, I can access the graph editor. I can set an envelope or a texture, and remember this small little column for taking multiple surfaces and changing their attributes. And that's just a quick look at the Surfaces tab or the Surface List view in the Scene Editor.